G'day everyone, welcome along. Welcome to Steelhorse Station. Hope you're all well this morning. I am just about with it. It's always interesting. Some days I'm awake when it's kind of my normal get up time. Other days I'm sound asleep. Today was one of those days. But nonetheless, we are heading across to Newlands, where I have clued you in already. So I've just rolled the day forward into March, and as so often happens on Newlands, I get a bunch of surprises. So the main one for this morning was that it auto-sold a selection of animals, which I can only take to mean that having spent the last episode, some time since the last episode, trying to get all our animals and everything fed, that we've ended up with too many, everything's got, or some things have got back to full health, and we've bred again. And so I think if we look in the pigsty, we'll see that we've got, we're at full capacity there. So it's sold, I presume, the surplus. And if I'm not mistaken, we'll run past the sheep on the way down. So the sheep are okay for capacity, but they've run out of food again. So they are eating at a prodigious rate. I think we want to sell some of the older ones in there again. There's some more wool to be shifting. I've restored my fabric. I'll talk about that a bit later on. Got a bit of a surprise now around here. Okay, so the pigs have plenty of food for the minute, and the straw should be in the trigger. Why is the straw not going in? That's really bizarre. There we go. How weird. Okay. We have produce to sell as usual. And we'll find our vehicles. Okay, there's one over here which is all set, ready to sell some trees. Got a little bit of cash in the bank, so that's not too bad. And it is March, so there will be crops to get in the ground, as well as I'm keen to, we'll have a look at the land actually next. We'll just get these sold. I'm keen to put some grapes in, which I've talked about a couple of times. Now we've got until the end of May, so we've got 3 months to save a little bit of cash. Just get rid of the rest of those. But I'm feeling fairly good about the cash situation, so we won't complain about that. Now, where are we? We want you to go back to the loading point. Have some coffee while he departs. How is your bingo call, John? Good, I hope. What is that telling me? So that's why the train stopped. It needs repairing. How weird. It's actually stopped just here. Very odd. Now, let's have a look at the map. Excellent. Good to hear, John. So we've got some barley, some wheat, and some canola in. We need to get corn in. We need some more grass. And we need some sugar beet. Oh, and some oats. Plans to put the oats over there. So we might get a tractor going on that pretty quickly. The plan's to put the sugar beet in here. So you can see we own all the land we need. And then the plan's to put the grapes in this field here, which is sort of that hillside just in front of it. Some with a little bit of topical application, John. So local flair. So this is the area where I'm thinking of putting some grapes. So we own, I marked it out roughly. Up to about here. We own up to about here. So I think that'll do the trick. But there's a tractor at the bottom of the hill here. Sounds like a good creative endeavour. And I've marked out an area, because the road's at this end, that'll make turning a harvest around okay. But what we'll do... Yorkshire bingo, there you go, nice local flavour. Now, we need to get some grass in... And we don't have any, do we? At all. So I'm going to have to buy some feed for the sheep. That's a bit annoying. Because they have completely eaten us off the map here. Cedar. Why can't I see the cedar? Oh, because it's hiding over there. There it is. The other thing we'll do is sell that trailer load of maize. Now, what we want here is oats. So that's the oats. And we'll trundle across. Yeah, so there's no grass there. And what I was hoping was before we planted the corn into those fields there, we would get a grass cut. That was my plan for feeding the sheep. Now, it was fine, except it turns out that they eat more than I was expecting. I knew their feed requirements were increasing, but they just increased faster. Now, I didn't leave myself a road at this end, did I? How do I get up to my field? That was a little bit of an oversight. do a little bit of a bush bash through here with the feeder on the back. Now, this is the bit we want to seed. It shouldn't be too difficult. What I'm hoping here, if I cut out a couple of headlands, I can just put a regular worker on it to run on the diagonal line alongside the other field. That's my intention today. As while I'm putting the seed in myself, I can enjoy my coffee and chatting to you guys. You can see we've got a few trees and odds and ends to sell. If we jump across to the sales screen, we can kind of get a sense of where we're at financially a little better. So we're turning sugar beet into sugar, and we've almost finished that. In fact, the mill's probably run out. But if we come down here, we've got heaps of sugar, which is not at an awful price. Fabric is building up nicely, and it's approaching the time to sell. So that's kind of my last ditch. You know, with 10,000 litres there's $60,000, which was a good row or two of grapes. So if we can get a couple more sorted, that'll be a nice starting amount. The sugar's got a little bit in it. Oh, and the one I didn't scroll down to. And we've got a nice little pool building with the meatworks. So if we kind of see our regular income as washing the operational face of the farm, then our specialty products are now starting to pay for the expansion at a much greater rate. So I'm feeling quite positive about that. Funny shaped piece of land holding we've got over here. Try not to bend the drawbar. That'd be a nice plan for the start of proceedings. Straighten up. There we go. Zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Just come down to about there where the fence will get in the way. Now, what angle did I pick up this hill? Let's actually turn on my little compassy thing. Around about 160 by the looks. Pretty close. Let's delete that out of there so it stops any confusion. Oh, bit of a struggle up this little pinch. It'll be fine when we get to the flat. I think I'll do 2 full headlands to make sure we've got enough. Maybe even 3 would be a good idea. Definitely 2. So can you see the beginnings of summer coming on, John? Is the weather turning for the positive yet? Like substantially? I know the days will be longer. Let's line you up. Looks like 2 will be fine, given the angle that I want him to run at. And just keep an eye on him to make sure he doesn't wander off somewhere. Ah, very nice. Yeah, we had a... We're sort of getting... Well, you know you're on your way to winter, I guess, is the main situation in our part of the world. We had a lovely day yesterday, so lawns got mowed and various outside chores completed. At this time of the year, I just look forward to the 23rd of June, when I know that the days start to get longer again. It's a bit sad, but it's how it is. Too many days in the 20s, John, and you'll have people complaining about heat stroke. Now, I reckon if we get you on that angle there, how close to that will you do on your own? Yeah, that works. Right. Let's see. Some more trees we could load up. It's loading nicely. Over there, looks like we've managed to drop some lettuce. What's in there? They have lettuce in them, but it's not full. What are we going to do with the animals? That's the $64 question. We need to sell some or move them over to the meatworks. And we need to feed the sheep. Pretty sure I put all the conditioned grass we had in there because they were eating it so darn fast, and we even sold a load of them off. That's why we've got some lamb at the meatworks. So there's some, oh, maybe I've got some in there. No, that's just hay for the cows. There's no conditioned grass in there. I think we're going to have to buy some, which is a bit annoying. Okay, other tractor is hiding. Oh, on there. Why don't we? I'm not going to be able to pick that up, but we can sell that trailer load of maize silage. That will generate some money, and that needs to go to the biogas plant. So let's do that, because we've got a whole I shouldn't laugh. I mean, I know when the temperature's not right, it's just uncomfortable. We really notice it with our my wife's sister's family, because they're Australian, very similar age to ourselves, but they've been living in the UK now for, it's Chelsea, probably, well, 15 or 16 years, and if we holiday with them in the European summer, their sensitivity to the heat is markedly worse, to the extent that, you know, if it gets too hot in the middle of the day, they get really uncomfortable. So it's quite interesting how much of an effect where you live can have over time. Your body adapts, because obviously they spent plenty of years, and when they're kids not so much, but they're the adults spent plenty of time in Aussie summers over the years, having grown up here. I'm pretty sure I'm going to the right spot. Where are we here? I think there's only one spot to sell maize silage, at the biogas plant. There you go. Which is up this road. I don't think we've been there before. And I shouldn't have stopped on the middle of the hill. That wasn't very clever. Reminds me of my first car. Non-sync Ramesh gearbox, and biggest disaster you could have would be stopping mid-hill. Become quickly proficient at a handbrake start. I think that's everywhere. Gives people something common to discuss. We've got a few meat products sitting out there. Okay, here's the biogas plant. Now, this is absolutely the first time I've been in here. Looks like it's not a very big one. Let's see what the... Yeah, we usually manage to confine that to a day. Melbourne's often criticised from the rest of Australia as 4 seasons in one day. So it's all, I think everywhere has their spots they characterise. Now, you're not going to let me load anything. That's really annoying. If I drop you off, will you? No. Let's see what happens. I get a trigger if I put you off the... Oh, that didn't help either. Is it only gonna unload into the tub? Let's have a look at just on the off chance. Ah, it's implemented that way, so you can't sell here at all unless you own it. I hate it when they do that. It's really not that hard to set it up so it works properly. Right. Are there any other options for selling maize silage, or do we have to eat all that we consume? Maize silage. That's where it is. I need to go to there. Oh no, the animal dealer will take it. He's just on the other side of the map. So we'll send you to the animal dealer. Meatworks animal drop. Animal dealer. There you go. Oh, you can't calculate a path. Okay, I'll get you out of here. Onto a road, you know. Add money to buy the biogas. I could. I definitely could, but I don't feel like... I don't want to, because we've got our own. Maybe I just do it that way. I'll feed our own. It should allow you to deliver up. That'll only take you 4 minutes to get up there. If we go and check out... Right, so we've run out of sugar beet cut, which I don't want to finish the last 30,000 that we've got at the minute. Yeah, what else have we got in here? We've run out of lamins over there, so we'll deactivate you. Yeah, so maybe we're just better off delivering our maize silage straight into our biogas. The conversion rate to electricity is pretty good. So we'll sell the load that's in the trailer, but the stuff that we've got stored away, we'll just take it down ourselves, I think, and take it to our own, because at least then we end up with some digestate, which will be useful. I think that's a better plan than sorting out the map one. We don't need you because you've made all the wood. We've got more wood chips than we can poke a stick at. Right, let's buy some conditioned grass. Now that we've got some cash. Way down here, horse hay, compact grass, haylage. Can I not buy conditioned grass? Yeah, there you go. It just didn't occur to me before. Round bale CCM. Can I feed? Now, second guess. Oh, crap. You're going to hit the trees. And like the Red Sea, they part. Boom. Okay, we won't bother to we will bother to interrupt you. Let's just... move you out of the way. All these jobs to do. What I was just about to look up was sheep. So if I don't put conditioned grass is the only thing that feeds all four feed groups. But I can't buy conditioned grass. I can buy hay. Unless that's conditioned grass. Maybe that's conditioned grass. I always get confused. Let's just have a look. Let's see, that's a different color. That looks like a hay symbol. Yeah, it definitely looks like a hay symbol. And hay is no good to me. Well, that's a very interesting learning. What we can do while he's fiddling around there is look on our list and go to conditioned grass. Where are you? Why can I not see conditioned grass there? Probably because it's not a viable product, which I have just determined. Conditioned grass. There is nowhere selling it on the map. Okay. Is there a collision on the side of this hay thing? Find out in just a sec. There we go. That was easy. 5.5 grand. Emptied the trailer. And the only downside is off there. Turning wheels that make it actually worse. So as I back, it gets closer to the post, not further away from it. Yeah, but they won't be long enough to cut until next month, John. I was just trying to do it today. That's all right. This is so irritating. I specifically planted grass in the field where we're going to put the corn in order to generate, because I thought I would have enough grass to get us through, but I underestimated the rate at which the sheep were reaching maximum capacity and aging, and as a result they're just, I mean, they're producing a heap of wool. They're just eaten through all of the grass that we had. So a plain underestimation on my part. So what we'll do, and that's where you get into this catch-22, just because of the way they're implemented, because they've got no feed. They're not at 100% health, which means you can't sell them. Or at least you can't sell them to the meatworks. So yeah, I'm sure there's a way to use those the rear turning wheels in the trailer to your advantage, but I find them decidedly unhelpful 90% of the time. So let us, what can we do? I think what we'll do, because we only want to get through to next month, I think we'll use, and welcome along to folks that are dropped in to join us. Good to have you here. Come on, there we go. That's the button I want. So what I think we're gonna do, not that I know of, there may well be, but I don't know what it is. Let's have a look up here. What I think I'm gonna do, we've got cash in the bank. I know I'm going to phone a friend. Specifically, I'm going to order some square bales, conditioned bale, grass conditioned, max size. Let's buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. Now they are 6,500 litres. So what do we reckon they'd be worth each? What's the sell price? The conditioned grass, 45,000 litres. So let's say 6.5. So let's say $300 a bale because we've had to have them delivered. So 300 times 5 is $1,500. That feels like a fairish deal. Is my math reasonable, chat? I think that's a fair way to go. Hey Grant, welcome along. We're just dealing with the fact that our sheep are eating us out of house and home. Let's just bump you into the trigger there, hopefully. Oh, of course. Maximum mass. Where's that? We need to move you anyway, so... The skid steer doesn't like uneven ground. You must be close-ish to the trigger. Yep, you're in the trigger. Oh, caught it when I didn't want to. Let's try that again. Okay, so they now have some feed, which means later in the day they only just ran out, so that later in the day they'll get back up to full health, at which point we will sell down this lot. In fact, we'll sell anything that's over 2 years to reduce the food consumption. What's that there? Let's move this across to here. Leave that there. Right. Did I miss Jason coming in? Or are you just getting your auto check getting John and Jason confused, Grant? I could easily have missed Jason. It looks like there's a few folks that have popped in, which is nice to see. Now, because we're in March, we've got plenty of field work to be doing. Our seeder is working away, putting our oats in. Over, you can just see it. Well, I can just see it in the middle of the hillside over there, and he's staying in the right spot. If we go and they're the fields that I want to take grass off. Where have I left the plat? I think it's over here. I know that feeling. I know that feeling indeed. And I've finished my first and I'm still only half not dusty. Let's pop you down. And a wider create fields. That's better. So we haven't quite cleared all the trees we need for this field, although potentially we've cleared enough. Ah, there we go. Grant's just got special skills. He saw you come in. He's got a background connection to YouTube. Welcome along, Jace. Pull that tree out. So the plan is for this field to extend up. We're here, just up to the corner. So basically there's a bluff that you can see in front of us there. So take it right up to there. And that'll give us long runs for the sugar beet harvester, which is kind of the plan. And of all the crops we're growing, sugar beet's the one that we are not sure we need much more than the capacity of this field. Yeah, that's one of the things I find hardest about doing these two streams in the week. Is I wouldn't normally even contemplate playing a game at this time of the day, let alone trying to operate this setup and describe it to people and hold a cogent conversation. I feel pretty rubbish most mornings when I wake up, and it takes a little while for coffee and medication to kick in. But I suppose it's a good thing. It gets me up and started. So there's a couple of trees still in the area we're clearing here. I'm planning on keeping that road to separate down the left, so but we will join, I'm thinking we'll join the two fields that are to my left. It does get the brain working. Sometimes not quite fast enough, which is no doubt moderately entertaining for you guys. Enjoying it at my expense. And other times it's just normal run-of-the-mill incompetence. Okay, quite capable of oscillating between both. Whoop. There we go. Just before you all dropped in, John was able to observe me negotiate a 400-point turn in the animal dealers, as I managed to get myself into a situation that was ridiculously challenging to get out of. But then there are the brakes. Somewhere between streams over the last couple of weeks, I have upgraded the engine in this Fent, and I must say it makes all the difference for these sorts of jobs. Yeah, we're probably going to hook this tree this time. Will it pull it off the field for us, or just spin it around? Just spin it around. Jason McKinley, welcome along. So we have a pair of Jasons in the house. Ah, that's interesting, Grant. So, is that because the shovels get caught on rocks and roots and things and rip the linkages off the back of the tractor? Is that the, or just bend the linkage? Hey, no worries, Mark. No, never need to apologise for having a life. We are at a stage on here where there is a million things to do, so no shortage of stuff, actually. I might just bump time up to 2 times. Right. All the sorts of things for which the dump jump plough was originally invented about 150 odd years ago. Now that'd be just about a sorry, I shouldn't smile, Mark. I resemble that remark. That'd be just about a full-time job, wouldn't it? It's helping FSG keep his servers running. Yeah, so this will be a good sized field for sugar beet by the time we're done with it. Oh, interesting. It's almost, that scenario is almost a situation, there must be a stump down there somewhere, of too much horsepower. Because the downside here is you get a really powerful tractor, it'll pull the plough through the ground even when it shouldn't. I don't know if it's a I don't know if there's a connection, but or it could just be that I've gotten a little bit more sophisticated in a couple of situations using horseplay, but over the last couple of patches, it's felt like the game gets stuck doing stuff, managing resources. And I can imagine how if that's occurring to me in a single player setup, it's not lengthy, so it doesn't, and it's not all the time, but if that was happening in a multiplayer server, that would create you a lag spike. Yeah, that little piece of wood was actually a stump. A little tree stump that I obviously missed. So one of the things that I've seen, Mark, which I'd put in the category of a mod conflict, is in the log, and they don't necessarily stay in the log. I'm not entirely sure how it does its garbage collection, but I've had a couple of situations, and again I'm putting it down to courseplay, where it's almost like the game's run out of memory, and it's happened quite quickly. Now it recovers by cleaning a bunch of stuff up under the covers, but it's the fact that it got itself into that situation is almost like there's a memory leak somewhere, but it's not in the core functionality, because obviously if it was, it'd be affecting everybody all the time and it would have had to have been fixed. But it's something that a combination of mods trip over occasionally, and with courseplay being the candidate. I don't know if I've got any examples of what I'm talking about on here. Let's see. Oops. Wrong button. Doesn't look like it. I've seen it in sessions where, and of recent times, I've seen it on here, on Newlands, and I've seen it on the Oaks. when I've been doing stuff. So when I've had a longer session, that's really interesting. Well, really interesting to me, given probably not really interesting to lots of people, but that's just the bizarre nature of the way I think about things. Performance engineering was always the most interesting part of the whole systems engineering job to me. Back in the day, because it meant you really had to understand how stuff worked, not just follow the instructions and install another piece of software. But anyway, where's our cedar? Oh, our cedar looks like he may have finished over there, which is good. So that'll mean the oats are in. What we could set about doing, we need to move some pigs before they finish eating us, because we had some breeding in the pig farm. If we have a look, we now have, I had a situation that I didn't understand occur. So when I logged on, or when I changed the day over, it told me it auto sold some animals, and looking in here, this will be where the problem is, because we're completely overstocked in the pigsty. So let's go up the hill there. You have in fact finished, and you've done a pretty good job. I'm happy with that. So let's fold you up. Can I get out along the side of the field over here? Have I considered? I have not considered that, no. I cannot. I did not leave myself very good access from this field, did I? So I have done olives once or twice, and bizarrely, and this will just, it sounds weird when I say it out loud, but for reasons that I can't really understand, I didn't enjoy doing olives as much as I did doing grapes, and I don't know why, because as you say, the processes are ostensibly the same. I found yeah, well, that was just my, oh, I can't get out going down that way. We realised at the beginning of the stream that I forgot to put a road in. to that field. We'll sort that out when we buy more land. Somewhere over here I can drive down the hill. There we go. That was a big hole, yes. But yeah, so that's my rationale, and I did them on the same map. So on Adelshoven, I spent many hours on a single player game, and I had both grapes and olives, and I found the grapes to be much better, although I was really annoyed at the precision farming, what it did to them, and how it sort of got in the way. So that would be behind my sort of not thinking much about it. Just that blind spot, if you like. And I guess the other question is, do olives really fit with this kind of alpine terrain? Because we're sort of more northern Italy than southern Italy, if to the extent that we're any Italy at all. Now we're going to the pigs, aren't we? A decision we made earlier in the stream is we're going to feed some of our maize silage into our biogas plant, because we've got more than our cows will ever need. Now let's get some of these pigs across to the bacon factory. You can do better than that, sir. There we go, round. And before people worry about the train, something we observed before. The reason the train's not working, whoops, wrong button. For some reason, I'm showing as owning the train, and it's broken basically. So that's why it stopped, which is a bit weird, but that's probably related to something I did when I was trying to get it to slow down. Well, almost certainly something I've done that's messed with it, that's for sure. Now so you can see here we've got 432 pigs in a 216 pig pen, and so there is an upper limit of 100% overstocking, so we've got plenty of pigs we need to sell or do something with. And to add to that difficulty, the extension yard we built. Yeah, you'd think, wouldn't you, Mark? Except maybe, well, I can't find it. We'll try in a sec. So the extension yard is also, what's that, 23, 44, 51 is also full. So now I'm distracted by Mark's suggestion that I should be able to tab into it, which I completely agree with. It's there, and I've tried this, I'm sure. I tried this the other day, in fact. It's there, but I don't get an option to go to it. And I can't reset it either. So it's almost like I half own it. So I don't know what I've done. I'm prepared to take the blame. I've clearly done something. So when we look at these, where I was leading before, we built an extension yard to deal with the overstocking situation. And the trouble is the extension yard itself, and they're not quite at 100% because they ran out of food. So I've given them more food, but they're also full. And a couple of them are gonna give birth. So we want to be emptying the extension yard. We also need to empty out part of the pigsty. So these are the 227 newborns that we just picked up. But we can't take newborns to the meatworks. The ones we want to be flogging are these guys here because they're worth the most. So we'll get rid of those first. Just start stepping into the problem, I think, is the best way to approach it rather than try and get too elegant with a solution. So 1108, and that's near as damn it within a whisker of best price, which is what I was aiming for. So I'll put those in there. And what's the next best? 17 months. Who's about to give birth? Because we just don't need any more pigs right now. Everybody, see, it looks like everybody gave birth all at once, which is part of what contributed to this problem. What we'll do is we'll take however many we get. It's only four of the babies, and we'll put them in the fattening yard over at the meatworks. We'll send you to Meatworks Animal Drop. Let's go and make sure you're full. So I guess the question, Mark made an interesting point before. I'm not feeling constrained financially like we were before. I reckon we're within a whisker of being on top of the financial situation on here. Oh, and the bit, Mark, that I walked through before you came in, we've got a growing supply of things to sell to generate cash, which is why I'm feeling more confident about the money. So, I mean, if you just look at the total, it's a bit misleading. We're not quite that financial, but we do have a bunch of fabric, which we'll sell in the next couple of months. We've got a bunch of sugar, which we can kind of sell when it suits us. So between those, and we've got regular supply of other things which are keeping us positive. Yeah, and the scenario you get to, that's been my experience or something similar to that in the past. And the problem I've had before is if you rent it and it's stuck, it never arrives at the rental point. And we have a bunch of maize silage, which I plan to move now half of that to our biogas plant, which will then generate electricity income. So upshot of all of that is I'm not feeling constrained financially. What do the chat think we should do? Should we put olives on and the hillside I'm talking about's over here? Should we put olives on there or grapes? I was leaning towards grapes, but I'm not particularly invested. So, well, what do people think? I'd prefer to do what the majority of the audience is interested in seeing, to be honest. So if that's olives, we'll do olives. We're going to have to buy or put in some sort of production to deal with the produce regardless. So that side of it's common. Aloe vera. Have I got an aloe vera plant up there? That's aloe vera, isn't it? All of a sudden the aloe vera spawns in a strange place. Check to see how much the oil mill is. The oil mill is dearer than the grape processing plant. The oil mill, that's the cereal factory. That's the oil mill. Correct. Yeah, so oil mills are 80,000. So again, I mean, the grape factory is only 60. To me, that's not a significant difference, as Jason and Mark just point out. I've never bothered with the cereal factory particularly, but I guess that's the way to maximize the increase of value of the raisins. I've never found that it actually used enough raisins to warrant it. Oh, where's that purchase door? Cereal factory's really expensive. Yeah, so with grapes, I tended just to use the grape factory to produce raisins and just sold the raisins on the market. So the short answer is those productions are all there. There's space to put a grape factory in if we want to. It really is, what would you guys prefer? I don't feel like it's a particularly strongly compelling case one way or another. It's and the processes are similar enough. An interesting thing which I did find, which is just a little quirk, is if we go to equipment for a second, this, I actually found this ERO grape harvester better to use than this one. I enjoyed because this came out with the Vermeer pack, I think, or at the same time as the Vermeer pack, and they're near enough to the same, but its handling characteristics are just fractionally different, and it was better to use than the Broad, which is basically the same device. Oh, there we go. The harvesters are different prices. I hadn't noticed that before. Olive harvest is 60 grand dearer. Interesting. Okay, so we've got a... You know, Devil's Advocate is cool. So we've got John voting for the oils path. Mark's... I'm going to take Mark's voters for oils. Maybe that's it, Jason. It's the... You could... It was much easier to use first person. Of course, there is a universe where we could ultimately do both. So we could, if we do the oils first, we could get that sorted and working, and then when our cash stocks get up to the right level, we'll just add grapes in. That's always an option as well. Okay, sounds like there's more votes for the oils. So we'll do oils. We'll create our midnight oil factory. So should I still put them in the same hillside lot? Is that where you want to see them planted, or is there somewhere else? Let's just zoom out a little bit. So I bought this plot, which wasn't very expensive, and it's partially cleared to put them up there. Is that where you reckon we should go, or should we drop them in somewhere else? If I have time, Mark, I'll do a sign for the factory. I have time and remember. What's that piece of land worth? $63 grand. There you go. Yeah, so potentially, I think 96 is a bit flatter, but potentially we could drop olives into that spot there. Nice and close to the factory. Let's just sprint up and have a look at that. Yeah, so that's this block here. We could drop a bunch of that's not a bad block. Nice and close. Out where the cockatoos. Right. I'm liking that as a location. Let's just see how many trees we end up having to... Orientation wise, yeah, that'd work. productions, orchards, oils. So we'd start about there. It'd be so helpful if you could tell it the angle you wanted to plant on and actually set the row, because then you setting up course play gets much easier. But basically it looks like it's about 25 grand a run. That's okay, plus the cost of the land. So we just generate as much cash over the next, what time? One word at a time. What month can we plant olives? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the slight variation on the way I've done that in the past, Mark, is to set course play to just plow a narrow 0 line so that I get it on the bearing, and then plant the first lot on the edge of that course play line. I think Argsy showed me that trick at way back when. I won't claim any sort of originality. Now, what are we looking at here? Olives. Okay, so potentially we can put olives. There's another reason to consider. We can put olives in the ground as late as June. So there's no rush at all. We can build the cash up, get the things we need, buy this piece of land. In fact, because what I'd like to do is put grass in it first. My rationale for that is that once you put the grapes in the ground, you can't change the environmental score. So by planting grass in it and getting it an environmental score, you can actually improve it slightly. We'll just put in as many as we can afford, Mark. We don't have to fully fill the block the first season. So I'm thinking as long as we've got, 4 to 6, we're away. If we can afford a couple more, that'll be fine. And we don't need the oil plant until we harvest them. So that's a couple of months later again. I'm not planning on buying the harvester. We'll just lease that. So I reckon financially we can do it. If I take half the maize silage and put it in our BGA, that'll put us into positive cash flow every month. Our animals should be at here. It's funny how little things. So trimming them is actually the activity I enjoy the most. Of all of the treatment stuff, trimming them is the bit I found to be fun. How bizarre is that? It doesn't take very long either. Where are we? What are you doing? I've got to select you, don't I? Brain engaged. There we go. So we put you in there. Yes. Okay. And you can't go in there. You have to go in up here. Yeah, I'm presuming it's not the olive oil that you enjoy drinking. Just to be clear. Oops. Let's try. Actually dropping these at the correct point. So we'll put 4 of you in there. Why did you not do that? Because you're not actually on the trigger, are you? You're just pretending to be on the trigger. Still not on the trigger. Oh, okay, I give up. It's the trigger at the other end on this pen. I really must create that mod. No, I'm just not on it. That's all. Come on. You're there somewhere. There we go. Works beautifully when you get it in the right spot. Okay, so now this is almost fully stocked. What are you guys? You're at 9 months. So I think there's no doubt you can go into that, given we've got a sulfate of pigs. You can go into the plant. Now, I must admit it's not a tipple I'm particularly fond of, John. But given that my favourite cuisine is probably Italian, it is a fairly important ingredient. So move you in there. Now, what have we got? How old are you guys? 3 months, 0, and 0. So there's the problem. We've got 76 animals already over here in the fattening pasture that aren't, because I moved them to remove the overstocking last time. Okay. Let's have a look at the state of the meatworks. What's producing in there? So we now have... Oh, that's probably getting a little extreme. Olive oil on ice cream. It must be really crook ice cream if you need to put olive oil on it. So we've got pigs that we can run. Which ones are they? Berkshire. Berkshire? No, they're probably black pied, are they? Let's activate you. Yes. Oh, we're going to need... Oh, we've got some more road salt around there. Okay. And there's a couple of landrace We'll run land race for a minute to empty that off. Let's take you off there. See what we've got over here. I think I might have turned all auto load off. No, I didn't. Okay. So that means if I do this, and get it in the right position. Night, Mark. Have a good one. I would say sweet dreams, but it's more savory, I think. I don't know why you are not loading onto there. Auto load, that's the way I want to be going. Let's just bump a few of these along. You're going to be up. I need a platform out here. That to work. It's probably all the lamb we had in there, was it? What did I just load there? That's lamb. There's none left in the building. Right. And how much gelatin have we got over there? 5,500. What's the salt situation? Right. Good, good. Duck down the butchers and unload this, because that 2,100, and then we'll go back and actually get some more sheep from the sheep pasture to load in there while I ponder what to do. I think what we'll do, I think we'll take several loads of piglets straight to the animal dealers and just sell them, because we've just got way too many. So we could sell 100 without even thinking about it, of just the newborns. And at least we can flog them there. This will generate a couple of dollars. I'm pretty sure these are about 13,000 or thereabouts. 1,000 kilos. Yep. Sold. So there we go. 30 grand. Better than a poke in the eye, I say. So we've almost got enough for that block to put the olives on. We'll get that comfortably when the next lot of meat is ready. Auto load, you need to be the other way around. Let's park you that side. Plenty of sharp sticks, yeah. I'm not sure I understand the reference, John. I feel like I should. Ah. Yes. Yeah, places where I've where I've dropped them to get them out of the way, cleaned the branches off, and then haven't been back to pick them up. So so that's another source of income too. Is tidying up all of that lot, because we've got plenty of wood chips at the moment, so we could just sell some of the trees. We also have a big slurry tanker. It must have come up in the sale at some point. Forgot about that. We haven't looked at the sales on here for a long time. Whoops. There we go. A cotton harvester, just what we need. Very nice Q series. It's just the diesel tank. We probably should think about that, because lots of our... Oh no. Interesting. Is it my imagination, or did we just lose the sound for the tractor? Why do I have no tractor sounds? That's very bizarre. Not conscious of what I did to do that. All we've got, the only sound we've got is the road noise of fires. There's no engine sound at all. That snow won't melt. That's very funny. It does a bit. Now, where do we get you out of? Oh, there it is. So, these are still not up to health by the looks, 60%. We need to wait until they're a bit happier about life. So what we'll do while they're still getting healthy is dispatch you with some piglets to the animal market. Let's see if I get out and get back in, whether it... Okay, that's really weird. I have never had that happen before. I'd be fairly confident simply restarting the game would fix it though, John. Now, what have we got here? 57. I reckon there's a whole heap of those. Yeah, I'll try that in just a sec. Move those to the trailer. Yes. Escape. Okay, engine off. I'll get out of the vehicle. I'll get back into the vehicle. Oh, there we go. So magically I managed to restart and not actually have any engine noise. That was weird. So you're going to the animal dealer. Next. We can sell you and send you back. The advantage of doing that yes. The miraculous engine. It's like all those videos of the perpetual motion machine. That they build out of the most amazing piston combinations. Never seem to encounter friction. Right, you are going to potted tree load. And then we are going to here because we're going to buy field 96. There we go. And we've got some reasonable land holdings here now. So while you're heading back, I'm not doing anything with you for the minutes. We will continue ploughing the field. I will make it a mission before next week's stream to clean up a lot of the trees that are dotted around this place. Get some semblance of order into our emerging empire here. stop to turn at the end. We'll whoops, another stump. And there's the log. Sell those, only $1,000, but better than a poke in the eye. And you can go back to... Yes, it'll make it easier. It works. Main pigsty, that's where I'm trying to go. Looks like I got most of them. There's not too many in the field, so it's not too bad. There's a couple of little clumps of grass that I've missed on the way past. Oh, there's a tree. Grant's having connections. He's seeing another broken 3-point linkage. Quite relaxing, making some progress. Okay, the pig trailer is back. Shouldn't be too many more runs required. Start narrowing it in 2 laps, I think. At the point. More logs. Yeah, we'll be down to a triangle shape. Pretty much next time around, I think. Pretty close anyway. Get that up. Come on. G'day, Rusty. Welcome along. So while you've been working, I've been sleeping. Sounds like a fair deal to me. And I appreciate, as always, having you in. Hopefully you're spending money slightly slower than you're earning it. See you, Jason. Have a good one. Maybe catch you later in the week. We will be streaming again Friday morning Oz time, which will be Thursday afternoon, evening. So this time slot basically in 3 days' time. This coming weekend in Australia is officially the opening of the Australian ski season. Snow skiing. King's birthday holiday. Let's pick the plough up, shall we? Is that a long drive for you to Iowa from where you are, Rusty? I've never actually been to Iowa. The closest I got on my business trips was Minneapolis. Oops, I'm gonna leave a dot. Never mind. Fair enough. It's still pretty flat in that part of the world though, isn't it? And are you a basketball fan, Rusty? Are you paying any attention to the final series? Right. Put you up again and down again. I've not been in Nebraska either. Literally just flew into Minneapolis and that was it. Been there a few times, but never tended to venture much further afield. I was a Bulls fan back then. The professional sports scene in the US was so much different to Australia in those days. And it was really reinforced because I had an opportunity to, business took me to New York, and so while I was there I thought, oh, that's fantastic, I want to buy a Bulls jacket, you know, just so I had something. I was kind of keen on those bomber jackets with the leather sleeves, and so I thought I'll get one of those for the Bulls. And so I went to an NBA store and was astonished to learn that jackets for teams at the top of the table were much more expensive than teams at the bottom, because if you walked into, you know, any sort of store that sold sporting apparel in Australia at that point, you know, the prices were the same for all, you know, the item. It didn't, there was no differentiated pricing based on team performance. So, and of course, so it turned out that the jacket that I wanted in Jordan in Bulls colors, which I wasn't super a fan of the coloring as a sort of a fashion item, not that I'm particularly fashion conscious, but it was like $350, which US, which for me in those days was a lot of money today. It was a lot of money back then. So I decided over the course of a few days being there that maybe I wasn't that much of a Bulls fan and I didn't really need it, and I ended up buying a very attractive, I thought, jacket, which I still have to this day. So it's worn very well, but it happens to be a Yankees in blue and white. Fitted the job, and back at that stage the Yankees were terrible, so it was relatively cheap, sub $200, I think, from memory. Yeah, 49ers fan. There's a fair chance it's worth more, simply because over the last few years they've done better. But it's look, it's been a good jacket. It's worn well, that's for sure. Decent quality, I can say that for sure. Let's go up and get this bit that I missed up here. So I'm thinking this field is well on the way to being ready. I wonder what its lime situation is. We need to probably sample it, actually. Would be a good idea. 2 stumps over there to sort out. So I think we'll have this one ready to seed for next week's stream. Rusty Wallace. I'm not a big NASCAR fan. I'm certainly not up with it. I know some of the names every now and again. The odd Aussie like Jason Bright has made the trip and competed, so I tend to sort of stay a little bit across their fortunes if I've known them from touring car racing in Australia. But well, there you go, you found another one, Rusty. Fair enough, John. It's perfectly understandable. I am thinking it. I can hear my breakfast calling, to be honest. So I can pop back and finish this field a bit later on. I want to get the trees cleared out of the end and just the whole thing tidied up so that we are in a position to stick the sugar beet in here next time. Yeah, these days I'm more of a... Oh, I like Australian touring cars. I also probably follow the Formula One closely, and having played basketball, and my son's was a much better basketballer than I was. I'm a San Antonio fan. Probably as much as anything a pop fan. And my son's a Dallas Mavericks fan. Yep. Bathurst is a mandatory viewing event in my house. It's the day my wife usually makes Christmas cakes, Christmas puddings, because they're an all-day cooking affair, and I'm pretty much have it reserved for 7 hours of TV watching. It's a fantastic circuit, which helps too. But anyway, we might leave this here. Thank you everybody for watching today. We've got a few jobs done. We've sorted out some of the pandemonium with our pigs overstocking. I'll also get a few more of those sold and everything back to manageable levels. And we will be back on the oaks, and we will be harvesting on Friday morning my time, Thursday afternoon, evening for you lot, or some of you lot. World of Outlaws sprint car. Ah, okay. I am not familiar with that event. But thanks everyone. It's been fun. Have a great week. Stay safe, and we'll see you all later.